Good day, hope you're well. In this video, we will be looking at MIP 1502 October November 2024. But this video is specifically for supplementary practice. Yes, we are actually practicing for supplementary examination. MIP 1502 supplementary examination. Right. Well, guys, if you are new to this channel, I advise that you subscribe. You only subscribe once, right? Like and comment, share, right? Yes. Whenever I start each and every question, I would like you to pause the video and do it yourself, and then recheck yourself. In that manner, you will be learning. Without wasting time, let's get to today's video. Question 1 requires us to name and explain the dynamics aspects of algebra. That's 12 marks, right? Give an example for each aspect, right? Well, let's start with the first aspect. Well, guys, under algebra, we have patterns. You need to recognize pattern recognition, patterns. Yes, so just write pattern recognition. Then under pattern, you need to identify and extending patterns. Using variables and constants as well, right? So under pattern, you need to identify and extend extending pattern using variables and constants. That's the first. E.g., for example, let's say we have this 2, 5, 8, then 11. So to get to 5, we keep adding 3 each time. We keep adding by 3 each time, because 2 plus 3 will be 5, 5 plus 3 will be 8, 8 plus 3, that will be 11, 11 plus 3, that will be 14, and 40, right? So that's how it should be in terms of extending patterns, in terms of pattern recognition, right? Remember, these are the dynamics of algebra. The second dynamic is generalization. Generalization So what is generalization in terms of the aspect of algebra? It's representing a set of numbers, using algebraic expression, expressions. E.g., so for example 2x plus 5, 2x plus 5 perfectly represent an algebraic expression, right? We have named and explained these two dynamics, which is patterns and general, and also you need to generalization, representing a set of numbers using algebraic expression. We said, for example, our example is 2x plus 5, which represents an algebraic expression. Remember, in an expression, it's a mathematical statement without an equal sign, right? So let's go another. Thirdly, will be, remember it's 12 marks, right? Thirdly will be abstraction. Abstraction, right? Abstraction. Let's talk about this. What is abstraction? It's using symbols. It's using symbols and variables to represent unknowns. Or variables. Using symbols and variables to represent unknowns or variables, right? So that's abstraction. Which example we can think of? We can think of an equation, a linear equation, for example. For example, let's say solve for x. Let's say 2x plus 5, which is equals to 11. So this is an equation. So under abstraction. So we have explained 3 things now. Under the name and explain the dynamics aspect of each algebra. So in give an example of each aspect, we have done that. So the fourth one, which concludes our 12 marks, meaning that each must have 3 marks. 3 times 4, which will give you 12. So you must know which paragraphs you must write for you to get the 12 marks. So lastly, in terms of 1.1, it's what we call symbolic manipulation. Symbolic manipulation. So we have what we call symbolic manipulation. So here, under symbolic manipulation, we apply, it's applying algebraic operations. It's applying algebraic operations, right? To solve or simplify equations, right? For example, e.g., simplify x plus 3 and x minus 4. So when you simplify such expression, you may use a property such as distributive property, right? So that you're able to simplify this expression, right? If it was an equation, we would have equated to 0. After that, we manipulate the brackets, right? So that's what we call symbolic manipulation. Then at 1.1, we were looking at the dynamics of algebra. Let's proceed to 1.2. 1.2 requires us to explain. If you can check well in your examination, there was a question that says explain why the sum of any two consecutive numbers cannot be even. Sorry for that, for my writing. Cannot be even. Even numbers, we know we are talking about 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, and etc. Draw a diagram to illustrate this. To illustrate this, and then there's 6 marks. Well, guys, under this, I want you to note this. No? They said explain. I want you to note this. When you explain such question, you'll first set, or you'll first say the sum of any two consecutive numbers cannot be even. When you add two consecutive numbers, one is always odd and the other is always even. That's my perspective. The sum of any two consecutive number cannot be even, because when you add two consecutive number, one is always odd and the other is always even. For example, let's say 3 plus 4. So in this case, you have 3 plus 4. What is that? That will be 7. And let's say you have 5 plus 6. What is that? That is 11. So I've explained, now I've shown with examples. So in terms of diagram, let's represent this in a table form. In this table, we'll write odd and we will write even. Under odd numbers, the numbers that cannot be divided by 2, which is 3 and 5. Even are those that can be divisible by 2, so which is 4 and 6. So you will have gotten this 36 marks, right? These are beautiful marks. Remember, question 1, guys, consists of 30 marks, so it's essential that you do it well, right? Let's go to 1.3. Well, at 1.3, what requirements must be met for the successful development of an algebraic thinking? 6 marks. Well, guys, under this, firstly, I want you to note this. Under this, you must have a strong foundation in arithmetic, meaning that you using proficiency in basic operations and number sense. That's what you should have at number 1. At number 1.3, that's the first thing. Strong foundation in arithmetic, using proficiency in basic operations and number sense. 2, you must understand the use of variables and patterns. So you must have ability to recognize and extend patterns using variables. Right? I hope you are noting. Understanding of variables and patterns. So you must have ability to recognize and extend patterns using variables. 3, remember it's 6 marks, right? 3, it's familiarity. Be familiarity with algebraic notations. You must be familiar with algebraic notations such as symbols, equations, and functions. So remember, when you talk about equations, I am talking about let's say I'm having x plus 4 is equals to 5. So you must know that when I solve this, I take out 4 to the other side. I'm going to have 5 minus 4, which is 5 minus 4, which is 1. Right? You must know those things, right? I hope, guys, you've noted these 3 things. I said strong foundation arithmetic. Number 2, understanding of variables and patterns. 3, be familiar with algebraic notations. Right, that's what the 1.3 requires us to do. That was 6 marks. Then let's go to our last question then. 1.4. Our last question needed us to say briefly, describe the following the following 1.4.1. It needed a situational context. So under situational context, guys, we are talking about real world scenarios that requires mathematical modeling. Here we are talking about real world scenarios that requires mathematical modeling or problem solving, e.g. it can be science or engineering, ne? I hope you are noting that. So you must know your definitions, guys. It will save you in your exam, specifically in your supplementary exam that you're going to write on Saturday, the 1st of February. Right. So secondly, it's what we call mathematical context. Mathematical contexts. Remember here, the examples are finance, engineering, and science. What about the mathematical concept? I want you to note this. Under mathematical context, we have abstract mathematical structures or even systems, such as groups, rings, vertical spaces, that they actually provide framework for mathematical reasoning and problem solving, right? So we have under here we have vector spaces, we have rings, groups. Yes, so this requires a mathematical reasoning and problem solving. So you must be critical for you to work with mathematical context. I hope, guys, I've shed some light on how to answer question 1. That requires 30 marks. All of it was 30 marks here. We were under 1.4. We're supposed to describe the following situational context, in which I said